We are back. It is rebuild time, and this one has been highly requested that I do a rebuild in South America. So we are diving in today to Brazil, and not only any team in Brazil, we are going to Cruzeiro. They are in the Brazilian Serie B. If we pull into the game, you can see right here, obviously because of the licensing issues, their color is red in game. It is blue. Their badge is blue. Their kits are blue. It's just SI, isn't it, with the Brazilian licenses. They are in the Serie B. Now, you may ask, Steve, why this particular team? Well, this is why. If we go into their honors, let's expand it so you guys can see it a little bit better. If we go into their honors, they are two-time winners of the Copa Libertadores. They won it in 1976 and also 1997 as well. They are also four-time winners of the Brazilian top flight. Most recently, they did a back-to-back in 2013-2014, and that is what we are going to be trying to replicate, or at least get them back to that level in this video. They have won a couple of other things as well. The South American Super Copa as well, the Recopa Santander Sudamericana, which is what you go into. It's like the Super Cup effectively in Europe for the Champions League and Europa League winners. So you can do all of that as well. They've won 39 state championships, lots in there, but have recently found themselves on hard times and are now in the Serie B. They're not the only team in there in that Serie B. There are quite a few big hitters in here as well. I will touch on Chapecoense. Obviously, they are the team that did suffer that tragic plane crash. In terms of some of the other bigger teams, there's Grêmio in here. If you watched my Pentagon all the way back when, Guarani FC are in this division as well now. And we've also got Vasco da Gama, which I will touch on as well. Some very big teams in this division. If we take a look at the season preview, we are expected to do quite well, but we aren't the best team in the division by a long stretch. If Grêmio are odds of 1 to 91 to win the division, Vasco da Gama are predicted to come second, and we are predicted to come third. We are predicted to do better than the three teams that were relegated out of the Brazilian top flight. Obviously, it's because of our resources and the fact that we've been in this division for a little stretch. In terms of the tactic and the stuff that we are going to be using today, guys, we are going to be using the GYR Loki tactic. We've done a video on this, on the tactic. I kind of want to show how it can be used over a 5-year period rather than just say we've done some testing, here it is. So I wanted to use it in this particular rebuild to give it some love. But on this screen, you can see already that we have a few issues. Bruno Jose, William Potker, they're two of our best players because this is sorted by our best 11. They are currently out on loan elsewhere. That is a problem. We also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players within our matchday squad that are in on loan, and I hate that. I don't know about you guys. I hate that. I love to have my own players and then you can buy and sell them and stuff like that. I hate relying on loans. So that is something we will be trying to change over the course of this 5-year rebuild. So that is things as they're set. We do have a couple of competitions in Brazil. Obviously, this is the league in the middle. The board expectation is to win promotion. So that is our main objective this year. We also do have the Brazilian Cup. But because Brazil is so massive, they have state championships. So depending on their regions within Brazil where the club find themselves, there's a couple of different state championships that are on the go. We are in one as well, and we will be trying to win that. But I do have to touch on Atlético Mineral. They are a Copa Libertadores side. That's a problem. We also have America FC. They are a Copa Libertadores side as well. So again, some stiff competition in here. I'm not expecting to win it immediately, but I would like to win it at least once within that 5-year period to at least add something to our trophy cabinet. In terms of the players and stuff, obviously we are going to look for loads of Brazilians. Lincoln is probably my star player up the top. Brazilian, looks like he's decent on both feet, bit tricky, nice and well-rounded, nothing overly spectacular, but a good well-rounded player. So we're hoping that we can lean on him a little bit in terms of our goal scoring. We're going to simulate this first season in Brazil, and hopefully we can secure that all-important promotion. So end of season 1, and we did manage to get ourselves promoted out of the Serie B. It's about damn time for this team, and I had to say, because I completely forgot in the intro, another reason we picked this team. 𝘼𝙗𝙤 𝙈𝙚 is the owner of this team. It's the club where he started his journey in Brazil, and he is now owner. So hopefully Mr. Ronaldo, we have sufficed and got the objectives done. We have completed the promotion. We were champions as well, 85 points this season. Plus 35 goal difference, 26 victories, 7 draws, 5 defeats. Grêmio also promoted. Bahia, they were one of the relegated teams, and Vasco da Gama. So 3 out of the 3 teams that were predicted to finish in the top 3 did finish inside the top 4, and Bahia were one of the relegated teams last season as well. We got to the 3rd round of the cup, so not the end of the world in this particular one. And then if we go into the state championship, we were knocked out in the semi-finals by America, who did go on to the final. They did lose that on penalties though, but we were knocked out by a team that have got Hulk is in one of these teams, guys, and he is a very good footballer despite being 36 years of age. So that is some good improvement over the first season. We've got ourselves promoted. That was the main objective. Now we go into season number 2. In terms of finances and stuff to work with, we've got about 500k in terms of our transfer budget. As you can see, 5% of transfer revenue is made available. That is because we have a massive net debt of 163 million. Which we are paying back. But what I'm probably going to do most likely is move it all into that wage budget to give us 111,000. That gives me around, what's that, 105k in wage budget to work with to bring in some of these free transfers. I think that's what I'm going to need to do the first couple of seasons, wheel and deal a little bit, and then we'll start going diving for those Brazilian wonder kids. Let's fast forward to season number 2. So guys, before we dive into season number 2, if you do like the rebuild content, I please ask you right now to drop a like on today's video and subscribe to the channel if you are picking things up for the very first time. It really does help. We are on that grind to get to 20,000 subscribers, so every little helps, guys. If you are enjoying the rebuild content as well, let me know in the comment section who you would like to see me rebuild next week. So let's dive in to the transfer update for season number 2, because we've done a little bit of business, nothing overly major. If we go back here, yeah, there was nothing the season before that I needed to talk about. So this is the season 2022-2023. So we've had a couple of players go out. This guy was for some money. Everybody else was on frees or loans. He went for 32k, and 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is not very good. In terms of the players that we brought in, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 Scarpetta, he comes in as a defender. He is a Colombian. He is 26 years of age. He comes in and will very much bolster our defense. We did concede too many goals last year, so I'm hoping he can come in from Colombia and do a job. He's not as tall as I would like at 5'11", but in terms of everything else that he does have, I really like him. Close to his full potential, good at big matches, very consistent, speed, strength, versatility. It's exactly what you want in your centre-back, so I'm hoping he can sort of lead that defensive unit for us. We also signed this guy, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 𝙈𝙚. He is another Colombian, 24 this time, to come in and play on this right-hand side. Obviously, I did say that we had loads of loans last season. I'm trying to get away from that this year. So he comes in again from Colombia. Nice high consistency, good player for the division. Could improve a little bit. He's quick, he's got good crossing, and he's versatile as well because he can play in a number of positions. Again, it all adds up to a good positive addition. We also brought in this guy from Corinthians as well. This is 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪. He comes in to play in that central attacking midfield role. He can play on the left as well. So again, we're bringing in that versatility because I don't really know who my best 11 is just yet, but we are trying to improve the team in as many areas as we possibly can. If we go into the transfer center, there's nothing else incoming just yet, but that doesn't rule out me doing stuff for the remainder of the window, because obviously the season runs very differently in Brazil. As you can see, the date at the moment is the 22nd of January 2023, because the season runs at a very different time. So if we quick pick without restriction our best 11, now we've got rid of some of the loans, not all of the loans. I do still have a few loans, but this is how we are looking going into season number 2. So we've got a couple of players here that are really, really nice. I think our attacking options now Potker is back from his loan at a different club. I'm hoping he can have a good season for us on the left. João Paulo is a good player as well. 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪, who we did bring in, sitting behind Lincoln, who was actually our top goal scorer last season. He scored 36 in all competitions last season, which is a brilliant return from a man playing up top on his own. So in terms of the competitions, guys, we we jump back into the Brazilian top flight. It's quite good, actually, the Brazilian first division. 4 teams get relegated. The top 7 are likely qualifiers for the Copa Libertadores, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be fantastic to win a Copa Libertadores, but I don't think it's realistic. And then 8th through 13th qualify for the Copa 𝘼𝙗𝙗, the Europa League equivalent in South America, the Continental Cup competition. So there's quite a lot of European or continental places up for grabs, so I'd like to think we can get one of those, but I'm not holding my breath just yet. If we go into the season preview, we are expected to finish in 15th. We've got odds of 200 to 1 to win the division, and Palmeiras are the favourites alongside Flamengo. They are also potentially the 2 best clubs in Brazil right now. 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪, the goalkeeper, who has been highlighted here as the best goalkeeper in the division, is currently part of the Brazil World Cup squad. So that kind of goes to show the sort of level of player that we're working with here. So the board, in terms of their expectation this season, they just want me to avoid relegation from the league. They want me to reach the playoffs, so the semi-final stage of the state championship as well, and just be competitive in the Brazilian Cup. I'd like a cup run, but I don't know. It all depends who we come up against. And obviously in the state championship, again, we got to the semi-finals last year. That is my minimum expectation this year. I'd love to push it and see if we can get into a final. So let's simulate season 2. I'll be back in just a sec. So season 2 is in the books, and we have slightly overperformed. We've not gone crazy, but we have overperformed. If you look at the league table, we finished in 11th, which is quite good. I'm actually quite happy with it. Let's expand this league so we can look at it a little bit more. You can see at the top, Flamengo win the division by a country mile, by 11 points as well over Sao Paulo. So there's definitely a big gap between ourselves and the rest of and then the top of the table, shall we say. But we finish in that middle-ish pack in the division, just below, or just technically in the bottom half of the table. But we do qualify for the Copa 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙗 next year, which is obviously, as I mentioned, the Europa League, the second-tier continental competition over in South America. We're comfortably in that as well, I would say. 3 points clear of dropping out of that. We're well clear of relegation. We were predicted to finish in 15th, but we have done better than that, which is really, really nice. We finished above Vasco, who were promoted with us. Grêmio, however, did finish above us, but we have a positive goal difference. They do not. So ultimately, I think we've done quite well here. We've done really well on our first return back into the Brazilian Serie A. In terms of the state championship, we did go on to win the state championship this time around. Atlético Mineiro in that final. We got the job done 2-0. Marquedo with the goals, and then Pedro Costa from the penalty spot. Looks like we were quite dominant in this one as well. It's kind of used as like a bit of a pre-season, but with a little bit more on the line. So in terms of the state championship, I'm really, really happy with how the team got on here. So it's nice to get that one and add it to the collection. However, unfortunately, for the second year in a row, we were knocked out in the 3rd round of the Brazilian Cup. So again, that is something that we can hopefully try and improve on as we move things forward through the save. Going into season number 3, though, we've got 251k. Again, it's not a huge amount. We'll move it all into the wage budget, so that you can see our wage budget there is now £206,000 a week. We currently have committed spending of 171, so that gives me around 35k a week to play with. And obviously the wages in Brazil aren't anywhere near as high as they are in Europe. My top earner is on 15,000 a week. So we will have some interesting work with this squad. Let's jump ahead through the transfer window, and I'll be back with a transfer update for season 3 right now. Transfer update for season number 3 with Cruzeiro is in, and we are ready to talk about some of the free transfers that we have brought in. I brought in 3 players, 3 on free transfers, 1 on a loan, and we'll talk about the freebies first. Coming in first from Coritiba, we have Val, a defensive midfielder. Obviously, we're playing this formation with 2 defensive midfielders, so we need to have players who can occupy those positions, and Val is very well-rounded and can sit in there and basically do every single job I want him to do. He's high consistency, he's good in big matches, he's a very good player for the division, so we are happy to bring him in on a free transfer. Only downside of him, he is 5'9", which isn't the end of the world, but I would like someone a little bit taller in the long run. To come in as well, we brought in 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩 He comes into play as our left back this time, from the same team, Coritiba, because I believe they got relegated, so they had a couple of players who wanted to leave, and this was another one that we did pick up. He's got a national reputation as well, super well rounded, not brilliant at anything, but not terrible at anything either, which is kind of the level that I want to strike at this time around this year. We also brought in this guy from Palmeiras, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪. Definitely butchered that. Another central midfielder, can play in any of these three positions. Obviously, we're not playing CMs, but the fact that he can play CDM or central attacking midfield, again, very well rounded. Really looking forward to seeing what this guy can do. Again, another high technical player. Now, we have to talk about this guy. This is 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪. Now, he has come in on loan from Flamengo, obviously the team that did win the Brazilian title last season. He's valued at 15 to 18 million, and I'm going to play him for every single game this year. Now, I think he will, in the long run, be brilliant, and I did find him using my Wonder Kid Finder. You can check that video out on the channel, because this is how I found him. He has the right personality and all of that good stuff, as well as some of the key attributes that we do look for. Really high vision, he's consistent as well, could improve a lot, high skill, good versatility as well. So we're looking forward to this guy being amazing for us. And I know what you're thinking, Steve, why are you developing a guy on loan? Well, that is because, my friends, we have an optional future fee of £5.75 million. Now, if this guy plays as well as I think he's going to, I will find that money. If I have to sell my players, I will, because I want to build the team around this youngster. He's got 5 caps and 1 goal for the Brazilian under-20s, and he's valued at 15 to 18 million. So if I can get him for under 6, I think that's a good pickup all around. So he will be leading that line. He's good on both feet as well, guys. So that is exactly what we're looking for. If we quick pick without restriction, without restriction, our best 11. This is how we're looking going into the season. So obviously 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 comes into play as that central attacking midfielder. Val, one of the other signings, comes in here. We've got Brio as well as another signing, and then obviously we do have a lot more depth options. We only do now have just the one lone player in, which is 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪. So we're hoping that we can kind of rely on our own players a little bit more going into season number 3. In terms of some of the competitions though, guys, we do have that Brazilian State Championship, which we do kick the season off with every single time. Then we do have the Brazilian League, the Brazilian Cup, and then the black one in here, the Copa Total 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪, which obviously, again, second tier competition in the continent of South America. So that is where we are going to try and enter in the group stage. But I will say, being a team from Brazil, we have much better resources than a lot of the teams in this competition, barring some teams from Argentina. So we would be expected to do quite well here. The board want me to reach the second round as a minimum in this competition. All in all, I'm quite happy with how things are going. We're kind of watching the finances here. We've got a little bit more transfer budget. They gave me a little bit more money to work with. So we're playing around with that. We do have a couple of potentials coming in. So hopefully, if we go on the incomings, yeah, we're working on a couple of other players. This guy, Frederico Pereira, joins us in January. Not in January. When does he join us? In July. Another defensive option. So I'm looking forward to having him in the team. But he doesn't come in for a while because I completely missed when he would be able to join. But there we go. In terms of things for season 3, let's simulate and see if we can get close to that Copa Sudamericana. Season 3 is done and dusted, and we have gone and exceeded expectations this year, guys. We have flown up the league. We have finished in 5th, which is huge. We are still miles away from the top of the division. Do not get me wrong. Flamengo won the division with 95 points, but we did finish in 5th. 67 points for us this season, climbing up the division. A higher goal return in terms of our goal difference and stuff like that. We're plus 14 this year. We were plus 4, I believe, last year. Lincoln ends the season as the top goal scorer, which is great in a division where Gabigol is here. Obviously, Gabriel Barbosa still dominating this division here. He's not had a transfer over to Europe just yet, and Flamengo win it back to back. In terms of some of the other stuff though, we win our second state championship in a row. I mean, Cruzeiro obviously do have a good history of winning this state championship, and now we are back to winning ways in that one. Lincoln again, 27 goals in this competition. I'll show you him at the end. But we did go all the way and win the Copa Sudamericana. Now, we did win this final 2-0, a goal from Lincoln and a goal from 𝘼𝙗𝙤 in this one as well to get the job done and push ourselves over the line to win a Continental Cup competition. Yes, it is the B tier competition. However, it is still very, very nice to win it. And in terms of the Brazilian Cup, we advanced further than the third round, so that's the best performance so far. But we were knocked out in the quarterfinals by Santos, which normally you would think is pretty good. However, Santos got relegated, so maybe it's not as good as I was thinking. So let's touch on a few players, because I want to talk about a few players first and foremost. So this is Lincoln right now. He had a fantastic season for us, 64 games in Brazil. It's a very hectic season. You play a lot of football, but he scored 67 times. So he's averaging over a goal a game. The guy's a machine. A goal-scoring machine in South America. He's 23 years of age now, so he's not looking at getting capped unless he's getting capped by the Brazilian national team, which at the moment, with all their forward talent, I don't think is going to happen, so I don't need to worry about that. He's just going to stay with me and hopefully be a good player for me for the entirety of this save. And I wanted to touch on 𝘼𝙗𝙤 because we have a bid in for him, guys. We are trying to activate that clause, the £5.75 million for him. He got 9 goals and 13 assists in all comps for a 17-18-year-old. That is exactly what we are looking for. We are looking for a creative brilliance in that midfield, in that central attacking midfield. He's going to be our star man, and we're going to go and buy him for that 5.75, the arranged fee. If we go into the finances though, guys, we've got 7.075 to work with. Obviously, don't forget that almost 6 million of that is going into 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙤, so I'm not going to have too much to do other than that. We'll try and pick in a couple of free transfers and stuff like that, but ultimately the overall balance of the club infinitely better than it was when we took things over. They still do have this debt. It is what it is, guys. We're not going to dent that too much over 5 years. So let's get through this transfer window and see who else we can bring in alongside 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙤. So guys, here is the transfer update for season 4. Obviously, we did manage to get 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙤 over the line for that £5.75 million. So he is now our player. Lucky number 13 for him moving into the season. So a good bit of business, I think, done on him. But let's talk about some of the other transfers that we were able to make. Lots of players leaving the club on free transfers, but we brought in this guy, Alejandro Molina. He comes in right back on, obviously on the right-hand side. Good in big matches, high consistency again. Oh, another player who's just well-rounded. We're looking for depth in these options. Obviously, there's so many games that you do play in Brazil, so we are looking for that. And if you did watch my Pentagon challenge, we have this guy. We've got 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙤𝙗 to come in and run things for us at the back. In goal, I think he's a very good, consistent goalkeeper. He's much better than what we did have in Cabral. Cabral is okay, probably a little bit more well-rounded, but he's very much declining in his abilities and was on a much higher wage. So we've managed to bring in 𝘼𝙗𝙗 on a free, was it on a free transfer? No, we paid 1.4 million to Corinthians for him, and I think is a very good prospect. Using our Wonder Kid filter though, we managed to find this guy, Giuliano. He comes in on, he's going to be on the left-hand side for me, comes in from Grêmio, has had 4 appearances for Grêmio. He's 18, he's 6'2", and I'm looking forward to this guy being our left winger for the remainder of the save. We paid £2.8 million for him. I just wanted him. Just bring him in. He's played 4 times for them. I didn't want him to play anymore against us. I wanted him to play for us. I love the fact that he's got 16 balance. The mentals can be worked on, but I think his technical attributes are pretty darn good for this first season that he's going to be at the club. So much so that I'm going to pin him in this position when we holiday, so that he effectively stays there and plays as many games as possible. If we quick pick without restriction our best 11, we're starting to put together quite a formidable side now with these 4 up top. Andre Luiz is a good little player as well, nice and tricky to go on that right hand side. Obviously we've touched on 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙗𝙗, and then obviously we will be having our other youngster Giuliano playing on that left hand side, so it will look a little bit more like that. And then obviously Lincoln, the man who scored as many goals as he had hot dinners last season, is going to be there. So in terms of the competitions, this is our most stacked competitions page we will probably ever have in this rebuild in season number 4. we've got the state championship, we've got the league as well, where they want us to qualify for the Copa Sudamericana, so that means we need to finish between 8th and 13th. In terms of the season preview, though, we are predicted to finish 12th, odds of 50-1 to win the division. I think that is probably a little bit too high, especially because Flamengo, the best team in the division, have just signed Marcos Leonardo from Santos, and he is going to rip things up alongside Gabigol. I can guarantee that he is going to be very, very good, and I will be so shocked if Flamengo don't win the division this year. We do have the Copa Libertadores, obviously the premier competition in South America, so that's going to be very interesting. The board want us to reach the second round. Again, you have that sort of heavy weighting on competitions like this for countries from Brazil, clubs from Brazil, sorry, so we will be trying to see what we can do in there. We also do have the Recopa Santander Sudamericana. This is like the Super Cup. So it is the Sudamericana winner versus the Libertadores winner, and last year Sao Paulo won the Libertadores, so we will take them on in like a curtain opener for the season. And then we do have the Brazilian Cup as well. We did get to the quarterfinals last season. I'd love to do a little bit better this time around. So in terms of the club vision, let's talk about that really quickly. They want us to reach the knockout stages of the Libertadores, be competitive in the Recopa Sudamericana. We are kind of just overspending in the wage budget, but that's still a problem, but we'll try and address that as we move things forward. So let's simulate season 4 and let's see what happens in this bad boy. Season 4 is in the books, and it's kind of been a little bit of a regression season for us, if I'm perfectly honest. We didn't finish anywhere near as high up in the division as we did last year. We did finish in 7th. Flamengo, obviously, as I did mention, did blitz the division. Winning the league by 23 points is just ludicrous. They lost twice in the season, 2 away games. They drew 7 times, but they won 29 of their games. I did tell you that combination of Leonardo and Gabriel Barbosa was going to be very potent, and it was, to no surprise to absolutely anybody. So we do qualify for the Copa Sudamericana for next year. Isn't the end of the world, and then hopefully we can have a push potentially maybe for the title, but I don't think Flamengo are going to be beaten this year. We did win the state championship again. Then we have the beating of Flamengo in the Copa Libertadores. We got all the way to the semi-finals. They did go on to win it. We lost in the semi-finals. We lost 2-1 to them. We won our home game, I believe, and then we lost the away game 2-0. Leonardo and Angelino, they literally have a full quota of Brazilian wonder kids playing for them. Like, it is sickening, the level of ability within this team. Endrick still here as well. He is currently back at Bayern. Oh, Bayern bought him 18.25 million. Wow. What a bargain. Genuinely, what a bargain. We were runners up in the Super Cup. Effectively, we got pumped by Sao Paulo over 2 legs, 5-3 on aggregate. We weren't really ever in the game, to be perfectly honest. And we got to the quarterfinals again of the Brazilian Cup, this time knocked out by Vasco da Gama, who obviously did start the same as far down as we did in the 2nd tier, and are now finishing 4th in the division, which is higher than anybody would have thought. Going into this final season, though, obviously being in the Continental Cup competitions massively helps in terms of budgets and salaries and stuff like that. So we do have £11.2 million to spend, which is huge, by the way. And we also have around, 80 grand in the wage budget as well. So some good progress is going to be made over this Christmas period going into this 5th and final season. So let's dive in and see what we can do for this final transfer window. So it is that time in the video where I ask you guys, if you are still watching and enjoying the content, please do comment down below R9 over CR7. He is the Ronaldo that I remember. So let's do R9 over CR7. I just want to see how many people get to this stage of the video, so please do that. Comment down below, let me know you're still watching going into season number 5 of this Cruzeiro rebuild. So let's talk about the transfers that we have pulled in. We've brought in some very interesting players. We'll talk again about this wonder kid filter of mine, because we've picked up this guy, Mohamed Ashraf, maybe. He comes in, looks fantastic. Central centre back or central defence midfielder is probably where I'm going to play him. Comes in from Egypt. He's got 12 caps already for Egypt. Age 19, 6 foot tall, 80 kilos. Very well rounded for someone so young. If we go into his career stats, we paid £1.8 million for him. Not the 40k bargain that I have had previously from an Egyptian club, but a very good progression player for us. Again, I like investing in these young players. We paid £1.8 million for him. He's worth almost 10. 4.5 star potential ability as well, according to my coaching staff. So a good acquisition in him. We brought in this guy for 75k, Fran Rocco. I'm not going to attempt to say his last name. He is a Croatian youth international, 19 years of age. Again, we paid absolute pennies for him. Superb physicals on the boy at just age 19. Good natural fitness, good jumping reach, great balance as well, high determination, so you know he's going to improve. 5-star potential, 4-star current ability based on my squad. We paid £75,000 for him, and he is now valued at 3.6 to 5.2 million pounds. Don't get me wrong, guys, it's not about finding these ludicrously expensive wonder kids for your team. It's about sometimes making the small additions, the small incomings, to make some money. So this is kind of what he's been brought in for. We've also signed this guy, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙕. I'm butchering these. He's another defensive midfielder. Again, high potential player. Comes in for relatively cheap, 350k. Again, another body in that midfield that is youthful and can grow and develop with this team. We also got this guy for £2 million. This is the one I'm the most proud of, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙕 𝙈𝙚. He comes in. He is going to be my young player on the right hand side. So we're going to have 3 youthful new gens to play on that right hand side behind Lincoln going into this 5th and final season, and I'm hoping they can all sort of interchange and all sort of set each other up and create things for each other, and have a great time doing so. We paid £2 million for his services. 4-star current ability, 4-star potential because he's 19. I still think he can improve a decent amount at our club. We also signed this guy, Osvaldo Gonzalez, from Banfield in Argentina. Again, you can kind of see what I'm looking for here, guys. High, decent enough heading, really high tackling, good teamwork, good work rate, 18 jumping reach, coupled with the fact he's 6'4". This dude is going to win the ball when it's in the air, and you need defenders in the current match engine that are going to do that for you. And then we finally touch on this guy as well, Leo. He was up for a transfer. He was transfer listed, sorry, from Sao Paulo. He comes in to be our senior player, our senior pro in this squad. Super well rounded, nice long throw attribute as well if you use those. He came in from Sao Paulo for £2.7 million, having spent his entire career playing in Brazil. So if we go into our tactics screen and we quick pick without restriction our best 11, here we have it. This is Giuliano, now a season down the line. If we touch on him super quick, last year 46 games for us, 8 goals, 6 assists in the league campaign, so not the most prolific, but again, he is still quite young. I'm hoping he has another breakout year this year. Omari is another one that we need to touch on. He is going from strength to strength. This guy is going to be a world-class player. If we continued this save past 5 years, I'm so confident this guy would end up playing for Brazil. 44 games last season. Or let's have a look, what's that? 61 in all comps, 12 goals, 6 assists. It's not necessarily the best return that you would expect from someone like him. But remember, he is still only 19 years of age. He's listed as a wonder kid now. So obviously my wonder kid finder works pretty darn well, doesn't it? So hopefully we can be very good, but you can see there's an abundance of new gens working their way into the team. We've got the 3 behind the central in the central attacking midfield positions. We got 1 in the defensive midfield, 1 at centre back. You can see the sort of areas that I'm trying to make this team. I'm trying to make it young, I'm trying to make it interesting, I'm trying to make it dynamic going into this 5th and final season. We do have the state championship, we've got the Brazilian league as well. They want us to qualify for the Sudamericana again. We've got the Copa Libertadores as well. I'm not really sure how we qualified for that, to be perfectly honest with you. Oh, because we finished in 7th, we did qualify for the Copa Libertadores. Okay, that's good. That's good to see. And then obviously we do have the Brazilian Cup for the 5th and final season. Can we get past the quarterfinals? I hope so. I'd like to think this is the best position that this team has been in to win. So let's simulate the season and see how this 5th and final one gets on. So I'm just going to say it, guys. Flamengo are OP in Brazil. They knocked us out of pretty much every competition that we played them in. And it's really, really depressing. We lost to them in the semi-finals of the Brazilian Cup. Let's start there. We lost in the semi-finals of the Brazilian Cup to Flamengo 5-4 on aggregate. As I said, they are the best team in Brazil. If we go and take a look at their tactics, you can see that they've got Marcos Leonardo, they've got Angelo, they do have Marcos Leonardo in here. They've got some unbelievable talents in this squad, so it's no huge surprise that they did go all the way and win the Brazilian Cup. They did beat Corinthians relatively comfortably in the final of that one. They also knocked us out of the Copa Libertadores 4-2 in this particular instance, and did they go all the way to win that one? They did. They beat Corinthians in the final to win their 4th Copa Libertadores in 5 years. That is supremely dominant from that team. Obviously, we did win the state championship as well. We have secured our 4th state championship in a row now. We are basically the best team in that region of Brazil pretty darn comfortably now. And then in the Brazilian Serie A, we did finish 2nd, shock, again, behind Flamengo, who have won their 4th title in a row. We've definitely closed the gap, though. We only lost the division to them by 6 points in total, plus 30 goal difference, 24 victories for us. But look at it. Gabriel Barbosa, highest number of goals in the league. Marcos Leonardo, the highest average rating. So that kind of goes to show the level that players are at. We did have a high number of clean sheets this year. Our goalkeeper finishing as the best goalkeeper in the division. But ultimately, Flamengo are just better, which is really, really frustrating. I just want to give a couple shout outs. Lincoln, this guy has been phenomenal for us throughout the course of the 5 seasons that we've done. He's 25 now, but has gone on to score an absolute abundance of goals for us. If you look there, 169 goals in his career, but before we took over at Cruzeiro, he wasn't really playing much. He's had so many good goal scoring seasons, but this one in particular, 67 in 64, is crazy. Unbelievable amount of goals for him. I also want to touch on the winger that we did pick up from Grêmio. He again looks very, very good. He wants a new contract. In theory, you would give that to him, but he looks like he's developed quite nicely this season. He's definitely upped his numbers. 9 goals, what's that in all comps? Sorry, 14 goals and 16 assists in all competitions. So he's definitely upping his output. And then the final shout out goes to Amori. He's my favourite player in this save by a long stretch. He wants to move to a club with a stronger squad, so that is a little bit of a problem. In terms of all comps for him, 7 goals, 8 assists, 7.07 average rating though, so his quality and what he's actually doing on the pitch has definitely improved. So, I've got this club close, but I didn't really achieve any of the objectives that I wanted. It was nice to win a Sudamericana, but there we go. If you want to take over this team and manage this collection of young South American wonder kids, you can do so. I will post a link to this save in my Discord for you to pick this up. Links to the Discord will be down below in the description, so you can pick this up and try it yourself and take on Cruzeiro, and hopefully you can topple Flamengo. But if you have enjoyed the rebuild content, guys, check out this playlist, which is all the rebuilds that we've done on FM23 so far.